Mario Kart World has issues, and they need to be addressed. If you've been online since the game came out, you'll probably have heard all the discourse about intermission tracks, bagging, online, etc. And I've decided that I want to put my 2 cents on the topic and discuss how I think Mario Kart World can be fixed. To be clear, this is not intended to be a hate video. Despite my previous comments on the game, and let's be honest, pretty much every video I've made on it, I do actually like the game and want to see it get better. Believe me, if I hated the game, I wouldn't be making this video, nor would I be actively playing World on the channel. This video will also not discuss the lack of content compared to 8 Deluxe unless adding said content would meaningfully contribute to fixing or improving the game. What I also won't be bringing up is the pricing, because again, I don't feel that it would be meaningful to improve the game so much as lowering the sticker shock at what is, at present, an incomplete and flawed entry in the Mario Kart franchise. What this video will be is suggesting improvements, criticizing, and generally being constructive while commenting on what I think the game does well, because there are a few areas where I think the game does well in. To aid in this, I've split my criticisms into 3 categories: red, orange, and green. A red critique means I feel the issue is major and would not likely require a significant rework of fundamental mechanics, and as a result is likely not realistic for World. An orange critique means I feel the issue is major, but fixable without going against the fundamental core of the game, while green represents something like a minor fix or a quality of life improvement. That would be very helpful. For this video, we're going to head through each and every mode World has, and we're going to talk about how to either fix it or improve it to make World the best game it can possibly be, given what I suspect are Nintendo's design constraints. So without further ado, let's begin. Our talk about first is Grand Prix, and it's because it's by far and away our largest section, mainly because a lot of the issues Grand Prix has trickle down to the other modes too. But before we can even pick a race, we encounter a problem: scrolling. Now I get that Nintendo has a history of loving side-scrollers, but this is a bit much. The problem is that to access character costumes, you need to scroll to them, rather than just selecting the character and then the costume the way you can in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or even Smash. To fix this, all Nintendo needs to do is set their UI up to work the way it did in 8 Deluxe as a way to reduce the scrolling. As this change is very minor and a quality of life improvement, it's a green level issue. Otherwise, World's UI is actually quite good in my opinion. The Grand Prix themselves, though, do need a lot of help, and a lot of it comes down to the intermission tracks. On a design level, Nintendo clearly intended for the world to feel connected in every mode, and because of that, they decided that every race in a Grand Prix after the first would have racers drive from one track to the next. Now, in principle, this actually could have worked had the intermissions either been shorter, or they really were just intermissions and racers still spend 3 laps on each subsequent track. But the way it's set up at the moment means that most racing time is spent on the intermissions rather than the course that is being advertised. This is bad game design, because the player is expecting to actually play on a track for most of a race, not drive in an intermission for 2 to 3 minutes and then play a track for about maybe 1 to 2 minutes. Because the way the intermission tracks are set up, the item balance also suffers in Grand Prix. The current item setup on 3-lap tracks is mostly fine in my opinion, the Boo and what is essentially a duplicate item in the Ice Flower notwithstanding. And the only issue I have with the setup is something they did in patch 1.20, which is letting first place get coin blocks as well as coins, which in my view is a nerf to front running, as you can now end up with no block items in first place in a world where triple reds seem to be more common than they were in 8 Deluxe. However, in intermission tracks, the item balance goes completely out the window because of bagging. The problem is that because intermissions tend to have huge mushroom shortcuts, it's actually optimal to bag for a golden mushroom, blast to the middle of the pack near an item set, refresh your powerful items, wait for the actual track to begin, and then just use your powerful items to win the race in the last 5 to 10 seconds or so. The end result is that Mario Kart World becomes an exercise in begging a majority of the time, which is not particularly fun to play against. Now, some of this begging could be mitigated by making use of the game's mechanics, like rail grinding and wall riding, which allow for some truly unhinged driving and are probably my favorite mechanics they've ever added to Mario Kart. They feel natural, they can make otherwise boring sections of track very fun, and yet the intermissions barely make token use of them. And what use they do make of them usually results in you going slower than if you had simply driven in a straight line. What's the point of having these mechanics in the game if, when playing the way Nintendo clearly wants you to play, you get punished for using and being good at them? That is unequivocally bad game design, and I don't understand how it got past playtesting. It is my subtle conspiracy that they did not playtest this game at all. So to sum up, you have a Grand Prix where, number 1, outside of the first race, you spend 75% of your time racing on some variety of highway, usually in a straight line with some curves, maybe. On said straight line, the way to get ahead is to bag hard and then steal the game in the last 5 to 10 seconds of the race. Number 3, you can't escape bagging via the new mechanics because you will be punished for using them. Combined, this is obviously a red issue, and to fix it, I think Nintendo has 3 options. Number 1, revert Grand Prix to how they were in 8 Deluxe, which would solve these problems, but does go against the fundamental design of the game. Number 2, add new rail grinds and wall rides to the intermission tracks, which could reduce the severity of the issue but not resolve it. And it would only do that if using said mechanics resulted in a shortcut of some variety. Option 3. Make the intermissions shorter and have more time spent on the tracks, which again could reduce the severity of the issue, but it won't resolve it either. I also believe this to be unrealistic to do, as the gameplay loop facilitates 2 to 3 minute races. That what Nintendo in theory could do was somehow have the highways make you go faster, like maybe instead of 150cc on the tracks becomes 200cc on the intermissions or something like that, but again, I'm not sure how well that would work. In my view, they should just remove the intermissions entirely from Grand Prix, but the more realistic option Nintendo could do is option number 2, should they choose to fix this. The next issue I want to talk about is track design and driving, which mostly is good. The tracks generally make excellent use of rail grinding and wall riding, and there's a lot of potential for new discoveries. But there is one small issue that I have with them, and it's water. The problem is that, at least to me, driving on water doesn't feel right. For lack of a better term, it feels sticky. And I hate driving on it in this game to the point where if I see Wario Shipyard come up, I actively dread it. And I think they would have been better served to just have some underwater exploration here. This is not necessarily bad game design, but it is quite a weird choice from Nintendo. These issues also apply to braking and steering too. I didn't notice it as much until I went back to Wii and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but the steering in general just feels off. Like it isn't as reactive or tight to me as those games are. I initially chalked it up to, oh, it's a different engine, it's a different game, things are going to be different, but the more time I've spent with World, the more I've come to the conclusion that it just doesn't feel right. And braking in particular feels like milk bottle caps are stopping you rather than actual brakes. I'm not even sure how to fix this, because I'm not even sure if this is me just being like a Mario Kart Wii boomer here, or if this is an actual issue. But driving on water, drifting, and braking just don't feel right to me. The next 5 issues I have are global, and the first 2 of those are Lakitu and rubber banding. Both of these are simply too aggressive in this game and need to take a chill pill. To fix them, simply allow players more leeway in their driving, especially with the new mechanics. Make coins give you 1% extra speed again, so that players in first can build up larger leads, and revert the coin box change made in patch 1.20. Combined, I think these will allow better players to take more shortcuts and build larger leads, thus allowing the 24-player pack to spread out and potentially have less chaos, which we'll talk about in a second. The 3rd and 4th issues also go hand in hand, and those are, of course, 24-player races, along with the auto-holding of items. The problem is that in a 24-player race with hardcore rubber banding, everyone tends to get cramped together, and the items that you'd want to use strategically now get used almost instantly because someone's crashed into them. To fix this, Nintendo should set auto-hold to be a toggle, as that would help with strategy, rather than just automatically doing it. This issue could also be fixed by reducing races to 16 players instead of 24, but this would go against this key selling point of the game, and therefore the former is far more realistic and far more likely to happen. As it currently stands, being Mario Karted happens quite regularly, to the point where it has gone from something funny that only happens every once in a while, to something that happens at least once or twice a race. And that is no longer special and is really just frustrating for everyone involved. With all of the changes I've proposed, hopefully getting Mario Karted goes back to how it was in previous entries. All of the above are green level changes. Now, the 5th issue is character and costume unlocks. Nintendo has locked character unlocks for the most part behind a gacha system with the Kamek item, and costumes behind dash food. This would actually be fine if there was a consistent way to unlock characters without needing to rely on the gacha system. To fix this, all Nintendo needs to do is take existing P-Switch missions in free roam and have them unlock certain characters and costumes upon completion by the player. This allows for players to unlock characters via skill and not RNG through Kamek. You could do something similar for costumes but have them linked to medallions, so there's a meaningful reason to collect them beyond stickers, as well as continue to have them unlockable through dash food. Heck, Nintendo could have these unlocks on Rainbow Road when they inevitably add it to free roam, so it's not game breaking, so to speak. Maybe Rainbow Road is added to free roam when a player gets 3 stars on every cup on every CC of Mario Kart World, including KO Tour. I don't know, might be an interesting thing to consider, so that those unlocks and an easy way to unlock them are kind of more or less a reward for 100%ing the game, rather than something that you have to depend on the RNG gods giving to you. Next, let's talk time trials, and this mode is, as far as I know, and I could easily be wrong on this, as far as I know, it's fine. The only issue that I could potentially see is Nintendo reverting the changes they made in 1.20 and rendering some of the new world records unbeatable. But other than that, it's as it was and it's fine. Our 3rd mode to discuss is Knockout Tour, and this mode is again pretty good. A lot of the issues that plague Grand Prix do apply here, but to a lesser degree because of the elimination mechanic, which is nice. The intermission tracks are meaningfully used here, and the overall balance isn't too bad outside of some bagging maybe being good at the start. That said, it does eventually become optimal to front run, so it all evens out. The only issue I have here is that Nintendo really needs to let us make our own knockout tours to expand the fun even more, and apply this to the online lobbies as well. This is again a green level quality of life change. Versus mode is another mode that needs some minor help, but not a lot. The only changes that I would add here are the ability to set custom items the way we could in 8 Deluxe, and maybe some other modes depending on what the community wants to see. This would alleviate some issues with the gacha system too, and would let players play the game how they want to offline and in private rooms. and would presumably be relatively easy to add in given that we know they can do it already from 8 Deluxe. To that end, this is a green level fix. Next, we have online. And you know how I said earlier that a lot of the issues in Grand Prix trickle down to other modes? This is what I mean. Online as it currently stands is simply not acceptable. The problem again comes from the intermission tracks. Because of the gameplay that these tracks encourage, online becomes very frustrating to play. Now, some people do like the intermission tracks, and if that's you, that is a 100% valid opinion to have, and I respect it. I really do. But there is a significant portion of the community, myself included, that doesn't like them, and the workaround to get 3-lap tracks was patched out in 1.1.2. The end result is a 50,000 plus person Discord server being formed solely for the purpose of playing the game online with only 3-lap tracks. And given World has sold just about 5 to 6 million copies as of last reported sales, that's roughly 1% of the player base in a Discord server, which is just wild to think about considering all the prerequisites to joining that server in the first place. This is an orange level issue, and to fix it, Nintendo must add a separate lobby for people to play 3-lap tracks on. This would solve a number of issues, as the people who prefer 3-lap tracks would have their own place to go, and the people who enjoy intermissions don't have to worry about high VR rooms picking 3-lap tracks or random on the regular. As it is, no one is happy, and this change could fix it. Our next issue is battle mode, and again, this mode in a vacuum isn't that bad. But Nintendo does need to add back the new modes from 8 Deluxe, like Renegade Roundup, to make battle mode more worth playing. This is again, probably an orange level issue, as adding these would be some work, but probably not as much as they most likely have the existing code from 8 Deluxe to make it happen. And an adaptation would probably not be cursed. Lastly, we have free roam. This mode is what it is, but what is needed is a way to better track what you have left to find. As is, the only indication that you've found everything there is to find is the number of P-switches you found turning gold when you've got them all, which is a good start, to be clear, but what I want is an indicator like, there are X number of P-switches in the desert area, rather than, there are X P-switches. The question block setup does this already, so why shouldn't the medallions and the P-switches have something similar too? This is very much a green level fix, alongside what I've already discussed with the character and the costume unlocks. And that's that. In conclusion, a lot of the fixes World needs come from the intermission tracks and online, with the rest being arguably trickle-down changes or other minor issues. The game has good bones to it, but there are issues that need to be addressed, and I hope Nintendo does so soon, because right now, the cycle seems to be that people get the game, they play for a month, they get bored, and they drop it. This is supposed to be this generation's Mario Kart title, and yet it doesn't seem to have the staying power that it should. I really hope Nintendo is able to bring it back, because I suspect my next video on World will be a post-mortem if things continue how they are. And I really don't want that to happen. I really hope that Nintendo is listening to community feedback, that in September they make some major DLC announcement, and as part of it announce that at least a few of these changes are being made. And that, you can all go into the comments in a few months and say, haha, he thought the next video was going to be a post-mortem. I really hope it is. I hope that's what happens. I'm not holding my breath. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you think I've missed anything, and let's be honest, I probably have, or you have a better idea for how to make some fixes, which would be awesome. I'm obviously not a game developer, I'm a math guy. You're gonna have to help me out with this one. Leave a comment letting me know. And leave a like and subscribe while you're down there, because I think the goal of this video is to be productive, and let's try to keep the comment section as productive as possible. Other than that, thanks again very much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.